All right, good evening. I would like to call the Tuesday, February 1st, 2022 Board of Selectmen's meeting to order. Can you all please stand for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay,
There he is.
there's Hal.
Hi, gentlemen.
Hey, Hal.
How are you this evening, Hal?
Okay, you folks?
Good. So, under Chairman's announcements, I want to actually acknowledge John. Good job on the roads with you and the highway crew. I put in a lot of effort to get the town so it was actually passable. We got a lot more snow than I think that we anticipated there. But solid work as usual, so thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anybody here for anything that is not currently on our agenda? And seeing as none, I will go directly into our first agenda item, which is a public hearing for poll petitions on Oak Street and West Street. I'll open these up one at a time. Just kind of going through my memos. We'll start with the one on Oak Street. And I think, of course, I open up to West Street.
Two pages in.
2 pages in.
You got West Street, and then the next 2 pages of Oak Street.
Oh, there it is. I think, yeah. So we'll start with Oak Street. How's that? No, this is West Street again.
Go 2 more pages in.
How do I have 2 copies?
Right on the top of it. It says Oak Street, top right-hand corner.
I've got 2 West Street sections.
So there's 3 for West. There's an A, B, and a C.
Sweet Jesus. All right, you know what? Since my packet wants me to start with West Street, that's where I'm starting, because I'm done digging. So we'll open up the public hearing for the West Street regarding poll 52. And then there's several others. Should we just do A, B, and C together for West Street? It would be polls 52, poll 40. And then installing poll 43-50, right? We'll start with the first one, which is Massachusetts Electric Company and Verizon New England, Inc. request permission to relocate poles, wires, cables, fixtures, including anchors, guys, and other such necessary sustaining and protecting fixtures along and across the following public way or ways, which is West Street, relocating pole number 52. And the second one is relocating pole number 40. And the last is to install pole 43-50 on West Street and relocation of pole 44 on West Street. Is there anybody here to speak on the West Street article? Come on up.
Hello, Michael Frazier, National Grid.
Hello.
So the first one will be pole 52 West Street. It is relocating it 30 feet to the northwest. And all this work has to do with the solar field on West Street.
All right. Are all of these attributed to the solar field on West Street?
Yes.
Okay. Is there anybody here that's a resident of West Street that has any questions or concerns on any of the poles that are being installed and/or moved?
Yes, I have a question. Justin Whitney, 134 West Street.
Okay.
And my question was, so I'm looking at the proposed drawing schematic. It notates on the bottom not to scale. And my question was just regarding the guide wires. I do not see any guide wires noted on the information I received. So it's just a pole, no guide wires on the properties.
He's just grabbing his plans. Yeah. Is this regarding pole 40, the one that's being moved, or is this for the new pole?
52.
Yeah, so it's pole 52. It's, right now it's located right on the corner of property 134 West Street.
Okay.
And the new proposed location is on, it looks like towards, closer to the property, 142 West Street.
It does look like there will be an anchor on that pole.
I'm sorry, you said there will or will not be?
Yes, it's showing a 20-foot lead length on it.
Okay, and what property is that anchor going to be located on?
It's looking like 142. So any easements for anchors or anything, there's usually separate from this.
Okay, because I was asked by somebody from Nexamp. They didn't even really say they were from Nexamp. They said they were just calling on behalf of National Grid originally. They were looking for an easement on 134 West Street for an anchor for that pole, and I said I would be willing to negotiate. They didn't want to accept the negotiations that I put forth, so I just wanted to make sure that the anchors will not end up on the property of 134 West Street.
Yeah, it looks like it'll be on 142, and it's just looks like there was a tree guide there at one point, so they're just replacing that.
Yeah, okay, all right.
All right. Is there-
That's all I got, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else with any questions or concerns to be brought up regarding any of the poles on West Street? Seeing as none?
Is that all 3 poles? Yeah.
Yeah. Anybody want to make a motion on this one? Oh, I got to close the public, all right. So we'll close the public hearing on the West Street poles.
So moved. Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Can I have a roll call vote?
Fitzpatrick, aye.
Bone and I.
Morris, aye.
Cortez, aye.
Davis, aye.
Okay, anybody want to make a motion on the first public hearing poll petition?
Move that the petitions for the polls on West Street be accepted. Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Seeing as none, can I have a roll call vote?
Fitzpatrick, aye.
Bone and I.
Morris, aye.
Cortez, aye.
Davis, aye.
Okay. So that moves us to, I finally found Oak Street. So I'd like to open the public hearing for the poll petition presented regarding Oak Street. Massachusetts Electric and Verizon Inc. are requesting permission to relocate poles, wires, cables, fixtures, including anchors, guides, and other such necessary sustaining and protecting fixtures along and across the following public way or ways, which is Oak Street, and they wish to install pole P5-50 and relocate pole P6 on the south side of Oak Street, relocate pole P8, install pole P8-50, and relocate pole P9 on the north side of Oak Street, install pole P9-50 and pole P10-50 on the south side of Oak Street, east of Parker Road. All right, so want to give us a brief rundown on this one?
Yeah, so it's to install 5 poles and relocate 2 poles. It's basically just to, 1, upgrade the poles, and 2, to fix the long spans that are currently there so that they can hold the new heavier wire, the current standard.
Okay. And is there anyone here to speak on the West Street, on the Oak Street poll petitions?
Yeah.
Oak Street, any check, take a look at a print? You know what the property's laid out where they're at?
Not on that one, no.
On any of them?
I do on the West Street one.
Yeah, I didn't see him either.
Want to know on Oak Street too? No idea where the properties? We have no idea where we're right on the property lines.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman, it's very difficult room here, especially National Grid person speaking.
All right. He pulled it a little closer.
So we're,
So is Parker.
I know that, live on Oak Street, so.
There's another drawing
Take
later
nothing,
on,
you
but it
take down
doesn't have the
towards the
property.
campground, or you take up towards the solar farm.
Still have a hard time hearing him. We hear everybody on the board, I think, but not the National Grid fellow.
I think they're having like kind of a small sidebar house.
Yeah.
Be nice to see a drawing of it showing the properties.
Matt,
where
you
the
want me to
poles are all
control
going.
that?
We don't have nothing.
Camera? No.
Yeah, I'd have to come back with that. I don't have the property lines, so.
No idea where this is all laid out.
Yeah, doesn't make,
Where's it going? Whose house, who's what?
From the drawing, the only thing you can see is that all the proposed poles are south of Parker Road.
Right.
But you can't see, as you
No, no,
pointed
right.
out, you can't see the property.
Is it south
Know
of
who's
Parker?
who and who's in front of what?
And it looks like,
South of Parker Road, or would that be north of it? Going towards the Sutton from Parker
It'd
Road?
be
up to
south.
Sutton-
I'm going-
to the
It
Sutton,
looks like
right.
it's east to me.
Well, whatever, it's going from Parker Road towards the Sutton line, whichever way direction you want to use it for.
I'm looking at the,
Just so we
the thing on-
understand, so.
the thing on the map, Mike, it appears
Yep,
to be
no,
south from.
yeah.
I mean,
Yep.
this is for the solar project? What-
Yes, correct.
Which I understand, all right? And then you're going from the solar project all the way to Manchog.
Correct.
So why are we only stopping at Parker Road, or are you coming back later further?
These are just for pole relocations for new poles.
So the rest of the poles you're gonna leave alone?
Nope, I mean, they're replacing,
So you're doing all of them?
yeah, we don't have to petition for replacing
Right.
poles.
So you're just showing part of what you're really going after? You're going after...
Mr. Chairman,
yeah.
point
I
of
think-
order, just so, stay on topic.
Through the chair.
Yeah, I'm talking to the chairman now. So, point of order, just to stay on topic with discussing these particular polls, I don't think we should be talking about what's coming down next week or a week after or something like that.
That's fine.
Yeah, I think ultimately it's just to try and address the current project that they're trying to do. Is that right? And then there may be additional poll petitions coming at a later date.
Correct.
So, and John, do you have a ballpark idea that might be able to help these guys as to, based off of the map?
To me, like from Parker Road towards Sutton. Mike, am I correct?
Yes, I don't know which property, I don't know what house numbers are in front of each pole.
I think he's going the other way.
John Peter, 50 Oak Street. The registered letter that I got shows this here. But when you flip the other side over, there was more heading up towards 46, towards the water slide end toward northwest Maine. So this shows down to Manchog, but the ones on the back of the registered letter that I received look like there were more poles after Parker Road on the right as you're going around towards, which would be Shirley's place, right?
Okay.
So I actually, when I got the letter, I walked out, it was late at night, but I walked and looked at the numbers on the poles, and I understood from what I received in the mail would be in front of Shirley's house almost, which is what number am I?
Well, and that's why I'm asking, there's no property layout here.
Yeah.
Nobody knows where's
So
what.
this here is fine, but what I got, they were showing more poles past Parker Road up towards, you know, the campground and Mike's house and Shirley's house. And again, I apologize, I don't know the,
No, it's fair enough.
and that's why I came, because I had questions about those poles, right? So I don't see that on here at this point, right? This is actually a little different than what I interpreted with the letter that I received.
Okay.
Okay.
So, does it make sense, based as there's some questions and confusion, that we put a hold on the second poll petition for Oak Street?
Yep.
And come back in with revised drawings that would have, you know, property identifiers to make it a little bit easier for the folks that
Make
are
it
here?
clearer for the residents that it affects.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. I mean, he said he had it for the other, through the chair, he had it for the other pole, but for some reason, I guess didn't have it for this one.
So,
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Lisa Maldinsky from 60 Oak Street. It would also, I understand that this is approximately approximate, but I walked the distances today, I paced it out, and these are really confusing and really far off. So if it could be marked where these poles are supposed to be going in, that would be great.
Okay.
Because I'm really concerned that poles could be blocking, you know, it looks like just nothing's there. So besides the property lines, that if it could be marked with a pole, new poles especially would be going in, that would be great. And I'd also like to ask if there could be more specifics on the anchors that they're discussing, because last month, we got notification from Blue Wave, which is the solar developer. They were asking for easements. They were asking for anchors to go in the middle of our front lawn. So really appreciate more specifics.
Which I deny.
I'm
Fair enough.
surprised at you, Shirley.
I bet.
You didn't want an anchor on your front lawn, Shirley?
Absolutely not.
All right, then.
I have, if I may, Shirley Masinski, 60 Oak Street. A little bit confused about this whole notice to abutters. First of all, if you look, Mass Electric, they had a permission to erect and maintain poles and wires, and it was dated August 19th, 2021, and July 30th, 2021. But we received, in that time, we received this notice January 12th, 2022.
That's when I received.
Meanwhile, in December, we received a request from Verizon and Mass Electric to grant an easement for guide wires at 2 poles for Blue Wave Solar, which I refused. So initially it looks like, 2 poles being replaced. Mainly why I knew this is because they're asking for permission to extend the guide wires. And now we receive this petition or hearing for all these other poles. So, which is, as Lisa mentioned, confusing because of where they're saying the approximate location is. But I think we should have, and I'm hearing whoever else had commented, that it's difficult to know where these poles are being relocated, added, and are the guide wires being extended? I hope not.
So, well, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong on that, is it Blue Wire, is that the name?
Blue Wave.
Blue Wave. They're acting independently from National Grid. Are they working in conjunction with you requesting easements or?
In conjunction, yes, we usually make the, if it's like a big customer, we have them obtain the easements from the customers on our behalf.
Okay. So we're just gonna kind of put a pin in the Oak Street one?
Yes.
We can put it on the next agenda?
Question before you do that. Is there a time-sensitive issue here? Why I'm asking that is they're asking to have it marked. You currently have probably 3 feet of snow on the edge of the roads. And I don't know how you're going to realistically mark them so the residents can see them. So are you under a time constraint to get this done, or?
I'm not sure what their time is.
Because in 2 weeks, we don't know what the weather's going to be like, and it might be difficult for you people to mark it. That's the only reason I'm bringing it up.
Yeah.
And they probably were marked, they could just be under snow, usually they mark.
you can
it,
find
save
them.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
We never saw markings.
Yeah.
All right. So, well, I guess it would really be dependent upon if there is time constraints under this on the National Grid side, but if not, for our next, well, I don't know how long it'll take you to get detailed drawings and kind of get those things in. But if you could get it together with like actual property, like boundaries, meets and bounds, where they're going to be, and give the residents a better idea as to if there's guy wires, where they'll be, for our next, for whenever we can get you back in.
Okay.
And when you have that put together, just reach out to Lisa.
Okay.
Yes?
Mike Swicker, 46 Elm Street, to
Chairman,
the
does that
chair.
mean we'll be
I
snatching
think
those?
the dam laid out.
2 people talking, Mike, sorry.
Go ahead, Mike. I'll be right with you, Shirley.
He has it laid out where the current poles are. I mean, we all know where the poles are, we live there. Where the current poles are and where you intend to put them, I mean, that's a pretty good marking, so we know.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah, that's what Shirley had asked for, was,
have one like circle in green and one circle in red. The red one's gonna go, the green one we wanna put in. We know where the poles are on that street, so then I just agree with you. Back time he had to try to knock stuff in the field. I mean, put it there today, it's gone tonight. So it's one of those deals where if they have a good detailed layout, and then we'll know what's going on.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah, Shirley.
Actually, it's Lisa.
Oh, sorry, Lisa.
I just want to confirm that those maps, those will be sent to the abutters again as well?
Yes, they will.
Thank you.
All right. I think that we can close
Need a
the,
motion to pass over, or?
I think we need to close the hearing first, and then,
Motion to close the hearing on the Oak Street poll.
do we want to close it or continue?
Let's continue it. Thank you, Mike.
Yeah, because if we
Continue
close
the
it, it's
hearing.
done. So,
Continue the hearing on the Oak Street polls.
Second.
okay. Motion's been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion?
no.
Seeing as none, can I have a roll call vote?
Fitzpatrick, aye.
Bone and I.
Morris, aye.
Cortez, aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And it was only a little painful.
Good night, thank you.
All right, on to, and like that, the room was vacant, almost. It's just you guys now. DOT truck exclusions update from PD and Highway and possible votes.
See how I gave John the mic?
I did. You
Smart man.
kicked it right over to John.
Way to go, Nick. Appreciate that. I didn't give it a
No,
chance
I'm
to
looking
pick
for
up
my
that shit.
agenda, and lost in that pile of shit.
Good evening, guys.
How are you, John?
Good, how are you?
No, I'll find it.
Good, so, I don't know, a month or so ago, we met with the Oktoberfest committee and you folks, so we were asked to reach out to Mass DOT, which Nick has a contact as well as I do, so I reached out to Joe Frawley. He's the District 3 state traffic engineer for our region. So I reached out to him on a phone call, explained the situation. We spoke at length. He said, you folks, as the road commissioners, have a right to shut the roads down, but he highly recommends that we provide an alternate route for the trucks. In his email back to me, I asked him to put it in writing, so he did. He suggests signboards on 395, signboards on 146. And they would come and work with us and actually help set up something for the Oktoberfest, you know, as far as detouring traffic. It still would require Nick and a lot of his guys to do details and what have you, because they'll help us with the major highways, but we still have our small roads that
Will they
people,
provide the signboards, John?
I think they'll help us with them. You know, we have a few ourselves, so,
Yeah.
but Nick also reached out to, and I don't remember her name, Nick,
Yeah, Lori.
Lori.
And when I reached out to the person that I always deal with, and John reached out to his person, they had already spoke before they got back to us. So we're gonna set up a meeting with John's guy and go over what we think we need to do. I'm pretty confident that we can come up with a good game plan. You know, between putting the signs out there a week to 10 days earlier in town, Route 16 is going to be closed. I'm going to have my guys start monitoring truck traffic on Saturdays, start getting names of companies, get letters out to the trucking companies like we used to do in Dewey Pile. And Goya really doesn't run on Saturday. I mean, they're another big one. They're right in Webster, but they're going through every day. Not all of them run on Saturdays. Medline will reach out to them. So we got a lot of work to do, but it's in process.
Okay.
We're gonna have a couple meetings. There's options for us. But, I mean, the majority of it, they're gonna help us with it, but it's not just something that we can go to our contacts at DOT and tell them this is what we do, and they're gonna come back with a plan. It's gonna be incumbent upon us to put a plan together, meet with them. They'll assist us, but the bulk of the work is gonna be on our end.
So let me ask this question. If we manage to find a viable, seek alternate route, and detour the heavy truck traffic through that, based off of a plan, is it going to require additional resources from your department? And do we actually have those resources to give them, considering we probably need a pretty large police presence in the event itself?
Yeah, it's gonna be like a Memorial Day parade type thing. It's all hands on deck you got 15 guys, 15 full-timers, you got 4 part-timers, 19 guys are working that day for at least 4 hours so we can get the parade done. When we did the Memorial Day parade, that's the way it used to be. That's what this has turned, the Oktoberfest has turned into this. We, could probably get by with, you got 2 details on the end, guys split them, the road's closed, so those are the only 2 people that really people see, the officers. But we're at, almost our whole department is there in one way, shape, or form, either at the command post, inside walking around, in other areas. So yeah, it's gonna be all hands on deck, and we may even need some help from outside departments, more details. So that's part of this planning process. We're gonna get together, see exactly what we need. We're gonna have to post, I think, like a safe bet, it would be even, posting a detail officer at the end of 16 and Webster Street and Main Street, just in case you get that tractor, because once you get that tractor trailer, like we talked about before, once it gets to a certain point, once it gets past GBI,
We're done.
there's no turning it around. There's one way for that truck to go, and that's over that bridge, and we don't want to get to that point. So it's going to take additional detail officers put in certain areas. And, we may need some mutual aid help from out-of-town departments, but that's not unusual for big events like this. We get calls all the time for other departments that have big events, and, they need assistance. Small towns, you're just not, when you need 15, 20 people, you're gonna have to go for some outside help. But we shouldn't have a problem with that.
Okay. How about with highway, John?
I mean, we've got tons of signs and what have you, we may need some help with the message boards on the highways, and get the word out to the residents,
Okay.
Yeah, I think a lot of it's gonna be public information, especially with the parking and the travel and the trucks. We gotta do a better job with the no parking areas, posting people, like down by Soldiers Field where they are parking. Like I said, we're telling you last time, the problem with that is the field fills up, people are trying to get in, people are trying to get out, and then you get a bottleneck, and then it causes a problem by the bridge. So there's things that we can do to improve it. It's just gonna take a lot more planning.
Yeah. And are you guys going to include Oktoberfest or anybody from the Oktoberfest committee on the meeting, or do you guys want to sort out your side first?
I think what we'll probably do is, John and I will come up with what we think is a good game plan, go to one of their meetings and lay it out on, to them, let them know what we've been working on, have a conversation with them, and then maybe, in the 4 to 6 weeks, maybe we can have another joint meeting like we had before.
Appreciate the effort that you guys put into it. It's definitely, sounds like a good plan. This is going to be a joint effort with everybody. There was suggestions during our meeting that the Oktoberfest committee consider alternative parking with the shuttle down, because you got a big problem coming up just at 16, just that access point, Soldiers Field and stuff. So if they do their efforts with these,
Well, that's
it may work.
what we're in the beginning stages of working on that. Like you said, the parking was a big problem before, so there's not going to be as many spots. Like right out here, like we talked about last meeting, there's no way you could get a fire truck down with parking on both sides of the road. So we're going to have to limit on even Depot Street from Cottage up, just parking on one side of the road. So that's going to take a lot of cones, a lot of signs. It's going to take probably working, 6 to 8 hours on the overnight prior to the event, so we can get all our stuff out and, get everything posted, keep cars on one side of the road, so there is access. And that's what we want to do. I think we want to get everything kind of on paper and then go meet with them and let them see everything that we have. And then, like I said, maybe we can have another joint meeting, or we can come back and brief you guys. It's up to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you guys doing what you've done with it. And I know that the big concern was the truck traffic over the bridges, but that was only one of like many concerns that were brought up,
And I did
public
bring that
safety
up
wise.
to Mr. Frawley from the state, and he said the minute you send that truck over that bridge, you being the town, you own it. And he confirmed it from DOT, so.
We don't need
knew
another
that
claim.
anyway. No, we knew that anyway. I did reach out to him on the 27th to set up a meeting with Nick and I haven't heard back from him yet, but,
Okay,
so.
cool.
Good.
That works. Thank you guys very much.
Thank you for your work.
Yeah, that's
Thank you.
very encouraging, thank you.
John, no more snow.
It's snowing right now.
And I promise not to ask about it for at least 30 days.
Good night.
Drive safe, guys. All right. Third item is to review and approve retail marijuana license renewal for Capital Cannabis, Community Dispensary, and possible votes. And do we have anybody from Capital on? Or here?
Here.
Do they need to be?
Would make sense.
I was in.
Do we have any issues that we would be concerned about for them to be here?
Building on what Mike said, were they told to be here?
What I saw her, when she dropped the paperwork off, and she said she was going to come in
This is-
person.
This is Teresa.
Yes.
Why don't we do this, Mr. Chairman, in the interest of maybe acknowledging possible technical issues while we push this back to later on in the agenda and then revisit it?
Yeah, we'll skip over for now and come back. That works.
Good idea.
All right, so we're on to the Personnel Policies and Procedures Amendment, Vehicle Use, and it's the final reading and possible votes. And has there been any changes in the policy since the first reading?
Lisa did edit the, under C, which was number 2, changed it from family members to non-employees on the passengers in the vehicle.
All right, but other than that,
That was the only
unchanged.
change.
Yep.
All right. Does anybody have any thoughts or comments or concerns regarding said policy?
I think it does what we seek.
All right. Anybody want to put a motion together to adopt the policy into our books, I
Into
guess?
stone.
Into stone, yes.
All right, I would make a motion that we put into stone the Personal Policies and Procedures Amendment regarding the vehicle use within our town and our town employees.
Second.
Okay, the motion's been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Seeing as none, can I have a roll call vote?
Fitzpatrick, aye.
Bone and I.
Morris, aye.
Cortez, aye.
This side.
All right. We do not have Attorney Bowen present, do we? Is there anything that would prevent us from having an initial discussion on this, or should we wait until he is able to attend?
I think you can discuss this now. I don't know why you wouldn't.
Okay. So I had asked Matt to put this on the agenda regarding town council, specifically in relation to economic development. We are getting very busy with a lot of the projects that we have that are coming into town. And Rich is a one-guy operation. And I think that the task on top of that, plus our being our regular general counsel, could get daunting and overwhelming, considering the work that we have coming in could be fit to a firm. So my thought process would be is to potentially augment Rich's role and farm out some of the economic development to a firm and leave Rich to kind of oversee what's going on with that and continue to be general counsel in areas like town meeting, et cetera, et cetera. Is that a good Reader's Digest abridged version?
If I may, Mr. Chairman, just clarify for anybody listening, the projects that are contemplated currently, one of them lies in 3 towns, Sutton, Uxbridge, and Douglas. And even our internal project still involves a nexus with the town of Uxbridge. Our land use council in Douglas is general counsel for the town of Uxbridge. He is subject matter conflicted. And regardless of any representations he's made to me to the contrary, he can't go near this at all. And in conversation with our general counsel, Attorney Bowen, I just got the clear sense that he doesn't have the capacity, and was asking me if I was comfortable farming it out to a planner. I don't need a planner for this. I need an attorney who can talk to the other side that's represented by some white shoes firm in Chicago and get and protect the town's interests and get an appropriate deal for us. So time is of the essence. I really don't have a lot of, I can write a term sheet as well as anybody else, but I need an attorney to make it enforceable, right? With respect to Massachusetts law, make sure the choice of law is Massachusetts, go through all of the various escape hatches that we'll need, and then negotiate performance requirements with the other side, knowing full well what our leverage is. So any attorney in this role would have to be briefed, ask a lot of questions, and be fully informed before even beginning to write a document and talking to the other side. So it's not a 5-hour enterprise, it's more like a 50-hour enterprise.
Yes.
And if you look at Rich's rate and what we pay him on a flat fee, we pay him for about 20 hours a month. Yeah. So we would be using up his whole capacity for 2 or 3 months just to get this one document. I would have preferred, just so everybody understands one last thing, because I think it's important. We would not need a development agreement with that building project in Uxbridge if they weren't connecting to our utilities. There is no nexus between doing our project and our work on the Douglas side of the line and anybody else until they say, our project is now going to rely upon your utilities, so we need your utilities by date X, and in exchange for that, we're going to make a private contribution matching share to your grant obligations. As soon as you start to have that exchange, you need to memorialize that. They made their commitment to connect to our utilities 3 weeks ago. So until we had that firm commitment, there was no there. It's flipped around. Now that they've committed to us, they've set into motion a series of events where they cannot reverse their course. If you notice, they're out there digging every day, regardless of temperature or weather. They are trying to deliver their product by a date that's before the end of this calendar year. In order to accomplish that, they have to keep going. There is no time for them to revisit the permitting or other activities they need to revisit to attach to anybody else's utilities. Whitensville Water is no longer an option for them. On-site sewer disposal is no longer an option for them. They've committed to us. So it's a complicated dynamic. As you know, we're trying to leverage both state and federal funds. We need a seasoned attorney to lead the effort.
And all this is very time sensitive, so.
I have inquired of capacity at KP Law just to get a conversation started. I might be more comfortable recommending to the board a more focused land use attorney. And there are a couple of different firms that operate in this field that wouldn't be subject matter conflicted or party conflicted. So, but as a courtesy to our labor counsel and former general counsel for the town, I just thought I'd inquire there. But I haven't advanced it beyond that.
Anybody have any questions?
No, I think the stakes are high, and I think it's probably very prudent to recognize existing storms coming and moving forward there. Funding of this position or this.
Right, so what this would entail is, first of all, getting 2 or 3 firm resumes for the select board to choose. We'll have to go to special town meeting on May 2nd, the special before the annual, and transfer funds to the extent they're available. So we'll have to negotiate. I mean, I think we'd have enough in our existing operating budget, Mr. Chairman, to answer Selectman Bonan's question, to perhaps have a retainer in place, and then if billable hours, we'd have to pay after special town meeting.
I just want to go on record and say this in no way reflects negatively on town council. This is specifically designed to be able to offload some of this stuff and get it done in a more expeditious manner and not exceed his hours or his bandwidth.
He has a lot of work that we give him.
Yes.
Agreeing with you, and I don't think, we've talked about our side of the fence here, but I don't think it's fair for us to dump all of this on him in addition to his existing workload. I've experienced that personally. It's not fun, and it doesn't lead to a good work product either, so.
It's like having a primary care physician. They take you, they manage your whole case, but when they know they need to send you to the specialist, they make the referral, and that's where we're at.
I would look with interest on any candidates that come before the board.
Do we need a motion on that?
Yes, sir.
I would volunteer to talk with anybody, and Matt, when you come down to a couple and probe their background, because I have some familiarity with this area, so I'd like to do that for the town.
That's very generous of you, Hal.
So make a motion to authorize Matt to move forward in seeking potential suitors for the town council.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion on the matter? Seeing as none, can I have a roll call vote, please?
Fitzpatrick, aye.
Bonin, aye.
Morris, aye.
Cortez, aye.
Davis, aye.
Okay, we'll go to 6, discussion on forming an ADA compliance committee and possible votes.
Okay, so I was asked multiple times about this committee. We had gone to town meeting and we voted to create this committee. So start the conversation to figure out where we go from here. Do we advertise for people that want to volunteer to get onto it? Hopefully people with disabilities and challenges in life that would actually help it.
Well, I think if we do move forward with it, it would make sense to have somebody from building and facilities on that committee, considering that's where most of your ADA compliance would come in, I think.
Yeah.
But we want citizens at large too.
Yeah.
Be nice if we could get some volunteers with some subject matter expertise. That'd be wonderful. I know I'm dreaming, but I just thought.
I was going to say, well,
the words.
all right, so the first part was volunteer, and the second part was like, let's get a specific kind of volunteer with subject matter expertise. That's a tall order, but it would be.
Well, yeah, and it goes in line with what I had suggested. He lawyered up on me.
First time.
But somebody with some challenges,
Yeah.
disabilities, so they understand it. It's easy for us to say, well, I think you need that, but if you don't live it, then you really don't know it.
I think there are two sides to that coin, and I agree definitely with what you're saying, and people who live it, as you say, are definitely integral to the process. But if you've got someone who, as part of their employment, has negotiated this minefield, either as an attorney or anything else, I think that would be huge.
No.
Probably not
Does
happen, but
Does having this, and I don't know, I'll have to look into it, but Matt, would you happen to know, by having an ADA compliance committee, does that open us up to opportunity for additional grant funding?
That was the whole purpose of this being formed, because I think the adult senior center, or whatever you call this thing.
Adult Day Center.
Whatever it is.
Or whatever.
the place downstairs from the post office, I think missed out on a grant because we didn't have a committee, if I understand correctly.
Yeah, and I think that gets conflated a little bit, or inflated a little bit. That's what they tell us. We didn't get as many points as we could.
Yeah.
But it's also, I mean, there's a lot that goes into competitive grant analysis. And, you know, the first time we didn't get one for the library, it was because you didn't have an ADA compliance officer. So we appointed the building commissioner, the ADA compliance officer. The next time we went to the grant was more competitive. There were more applications and less money. And this time, the difference maker was whether or not we had adopted HA. So then we adopted HA, and we have yet to form the committee. It's MGL 48J. So not less than 5, not more than 13 members, appointed by the select board. And then there's a long list of their duties. They have 6 specific charges under the statute. And reading the statute, the real purpose of this is to accomplish the policy of the statute, which is to make sure that people who face various different physical and other challenges have a voice that's heard when the municipality spends money on building improvements. That's the problem. Whether we win the grant or not, we should be building facilities that are accessible to everybody. We would have done that anyway. I don't know that you need a committee to do this, but we form committees because it enhances participation and it creates the record that the community was heard, and not just informal networking or word of mouth or standing up at one meeting or two. So you absolutely, I think, have to have people of different ages and different abilities on the committee for it to really have any credibility with the group in Boston that oversees this, but also to give us the best possible information.
Any idea what the best strategy is to attract people to join this committee? I know this is probably the #1 station on Tuesday night, but just in case we missed any of the audience, I want to
Well, I mean,
figure out a...
this is the world we live in, right? You don't want to feel like you're singling people out and only paying attention to them because of their status in the community. At the other point, you want to welcome people who have a point of view to participate. So it's chicken or egg, right? Am I going to reach out to you because I know you're confined to a wheelchair, or are you going to...
Well, I didn't know if we should put it on the webpage.
It's got to go on the webpage, right? And we can, but most people are communicating now via various Facebook outlets.
I know somebody that's very good with Facebook.
So do I, yeah. Might even be in the room. Reputation for eloquent, pithy advertisements on behalf of the town.
Well, Bob, I didn't know that you were on Facebook.
Took you about 15 seconds, but you did come up with the distraction.
The requirements here are fairly stringent, and I took a look. A majority of said commission members shall consist of people with disabilities. One member shall be a member of the immediate family of a person with a disability, and one member shall be either an elected or appointed official of that town. So we don't have a whole lot of flexibility, I guess we would say. And as you said, was it 5 to 13? So.
Yeah. So if you comply with those 2, then you have to find 3 people from the community.
Exactly. It's a restrictive statute from our point of view.
So we'll cast a wide net. We'll do the best we can. Patrice is very well networked in the community.
Where it directly affected the library and the adult social center. It did come back to me. Maybe we could reach out to them and ask them to reach out to their members.
That works. Do we need a motion to formally adopt this ADA compliance committee?
No, we already adopted it.
I think this is, you're making the decision now. We're going to put it as widely as we can. We'll put things in the
To see
newspaper.
what we're going to track, we got to get at least 5 people.
Okay.
I think it might be helpful if we could engage the parent-teacher organization, because there may be families with kids.
Yeah, that actually,
that could serve in that one seat,
that one
family
position.
member of someone.
Yeah.
So,
So anybody that's interested would just apply through
Lisa.
through Lisa
Yeah.
with the typical board or committee form.
Works for me.
And your elected or appointed officials, since, Ken Frazier is a resident of Douglas, and he is the ADA compliance officer, I think that kind of fills itself.
I think that would make sense for Ken.
Yeah.
All right.
I
Well,
thought Teresa.
so I was going to, we'll circle back to review and approve retail marijuana license renewal for Capital Cannabis Community Dispensary and possible votes, because I see our friend Teresa up there.
How are you guys?
How you doing?
Hello.
We are well. How are you, Teresa?
I'm doing very well. I'm here at the store, as you can tell in one of the offices.
I was going to, unless you've painted your house very, very bland.
You used to see me with all
Steel
liquor
frame
bottles
doors.
behind me. No more liquor bottles.
You're going to start seeing us with liquor bottles behind us soon if things keep up this way. So how's everything going?
And Happy New Year.
Thank you.
Yeah, to you.
How's everything going at Capitol?
Building every day. It's getting better and better every day. I couldn't ask for more. It's really working out well.
Excellent. So does anybody have any questions or concerns or comments regarding the cannabis license for Capitol?
I'm reviewing the checklist included with our material, and everything is checked and everything is done and up to date, so I'm very happy to read that.
And you're in the process of renewing with the CCC?
Yes.
How's that
All my
going?
paperwork's already been submitted. I'm just waiting on them. I actually, not only did I submit everything, but I also paid for everything online. So if you need me to send you the confirmation of my payment in my email, I can.
No, that's okay.
I'll have them tomorrow.
That's okay. Shocking that you're waiting on a state agency. Come on now, they're blistering fast all the time.
This is gonna take 60 days to get through. It's like you're kidding me. 60 seconds to take my money and 60 days to get an answer.
I am sure that the check that you mailed them is cashed within seconds of the envelope being opened.
No check, credit card.
Oh,
They wanted it right away.
Matt, has there been any issues in the town that we should be aware of in relation to ZNT, or are we?
So Teresa, I just want to ask about your hours of operation.
You want me to tell them to you, or do you
Well,
have something you want
so
to ask me?
you're asking for 9 AM to 8 PM, 7 days a week?
That's what we're doing right now. I won 365 days a year with my conditions, within my conditions. What I'm doing right now, because of the weather, is 9 to 8. When the weather breaks, I'll probably move 9 to 9.
Because
So if you can do 9, yeah.
yeah, your
That's why
existing license,
I think I put 8/9 for the closing time.
yeah, your existing license is a little bit different, so I just want to make sure the board, as your licensing authority, is aware that you're asking for that to be, your hours of operation should match what you're licensed for.
all right. And what's in the current license?
Sunday through Wednesday, 10 a.m. to 8:30 p.m., Thursday through Saturday, 9 a.m. to 8:30 p.m.
Don't know where those hours came from, to be honest with you. I don't know, because we really didn't have any time set. From the planning board, we won 365 days a year. They didn't really question the time. So how these hours, I can honestly say, I don't know where these hours came from, because I have it right here. We have it framed and in the office for everyone to see.
Yeah, I don't think it's a big issue, it just has to be,
We have to amend it on the
housekeeping
license.
has to be done.
So you're looking for 9 to 9, Teresa?
Yeah, 9 to 9. If I close early, I close early. But yeah, 9 to 9 would be great.
All right, can we modify that on our license?
Okay.
Does anybody disagree with
The
modifying
license
them?
specify hours?
Yes.
Yes.
Currently, there's Sunday to Wednesday, 10 to 8:30, and then Tuesday to Saturday, 9 to 8.
Thursday.
Thursday to Saturday, sorry.
Thursday to Saturday, 9 to 8:30. Like I said, I really don't know where those hours came from, but if we could amend them, we're all good.
And you just want to amend it to standard hours of 9 to 9?
Yes, please.
I certainly don't have an
Go to the
issue.
state to get their concurrence, or is that totally local?
The hours of operation with us being a licensing authority are a local matter. We just need to make sure that it jives with what they're operating with, because that could potentially get them into a jam with the CCC.
Thank you.
I have no objection to 9 to 9. I think it's simple and easy, and we want her to do business. It's in our interest for her to do business, so.
Anybody care to make a motion?
Not only do business, but be successful at business.
Yes.
Successful, that's the big word, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I have a question before you make a motion. On our checklist, it says,
Aziz just made a comment, I'm sorry. All the dispensaries around us are open from 8 to 10. Those hours are extended. They have hours from 8 to 10. I don't know what you want to do with that, but I do know that down the street is 10 to 10. I do know over at Webster is 8 to 10.
didn't we already get past that?
Yeah, what would you, do you want us to put you from 8 to 10? Or is 9 to 9 fine with
Was there a
you?
question from someone on Zoom?
Yeah, why don't we, yeah, I'm sorry for being so confusing right now. I'm usually spot on, but, yeah, why don't we just do 8 to 10? That way it covers all aspects, especially with summer coming, and we'll just be done with that. So, like I said, if I shorten the hours, it's one thing, but I can't lengthen the hours without getting in trouble. So if we do 8 to 10, that would be perfect.
You got that noted? Your question, Mike?
You sure?
I am sure.
On your checklist here, it says Workman's Comp Certificate of Insurance. This is an endorsement, so you want a certificate, so you're a certificate holder. So in the event that the policy lapses, gets canceled, or whatever, you're notified 30 days in advance. So this is an endorsement page from your typical insurance company. It should be a certificate, and down in the bottom left-hand corner would be certificate holder, Town of Douglas. Did you hear that, Teresa?
There were several pages that I dropped off of that. It was the exact same thing that I dropped off for the first license.
Well, I'm sorry, but what's that?
The certificate of insurance, I can get that from her.
No, but you're going to need to get it
Right.
per what this is. I'm not saying that you can't get it, but I don't know what happened the first time you were here. I wasn't here, but the checklist says certificate. This is an endorsement page, so it's not a big deal. You
It's
just,
more than an endorsement page. There was an endorsement page. I didn't even have anything to do with that. My insurance company did everything. I gave it to my insurance agent, like I did the first time, and he sent everything that he did the first time, the second time, and I just passed it off.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
I would like to request a certificate of, excuse me, Teresa, stop for a minute. Thank you.
I'm sorry, I'm having a
Yep.
hard time here.
Okay, stop for a minute. Mr. Chairman, I request that the license holder gets us a certificate of insurance that's issued to the Town of Douglas, as it's stated on your little checklist.
Gotcha. Teresa, when you get a chance, could you reach out to your agent and just have them send the certificate page again? I would appreciate that.
Yep, no problem.
All right.
Now, wait a minute, before I send the certificate page, is there something specific Mr. Fitzpatrick is looking for? What does he want to say?
Certificate of insurance. Your insurance agent will know exactly what this is. You're going to issue a certificate to the Town of Douglas, and it's going to, on the bottom left-hand corner, it'll say certificate holder, Town of Douglas.
Okay.
29 Depot Street, Douglas, Mass. 01516, I believe.
Sounds great. Yep.
Thank you.
If you don't, just for reference, Mr. Chairman, if you don't have something like that, you will never be notified if there's a lapse of insurance. So if it's a requirement, you want to make sure you're a certificate holder.
Okay.
Gentlemen, can you, I do know that my certificate that I gave you the first time has not lapsed yet. Because on my checklist, Lisa was kind enough to put all the dates to everything that I had that was still in place that has not lapsed. Could you please check the certificate certificate that I gave you that has not lapsed yet the first time?
I will.
Yep, we can look into that, Teresa.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I still request to get an up-to-date certificate, please. Thank you.
I will look at her packet from last year.
Okay. Is there any further discussion on this? Okay. Does anybody wish to make a motion on this?
I will make a motion that we approve the retail marijuana license renewal for Capital Cannabis Community Dispensary with an adjustment to the hours of operation from 8 to 10 p.m., 8 a.m. to 10 p.m.
And a note of the certificate of insurance.
And to
Contingent.
upon the certificate of insurance as outlined by Selectman Fitzpatrick.
I would second that well-worded motion.
Thank you, David.
That was well crafted.
Thank you.
So we have a motion that has been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion at this point? Seeing as none, can I have a roll call vote, please?
Fitzpatrick, aye.
Bone and I.
Morris, aye.
Cortez, aye.
Davis, aye.
All set. Thank you very much, Teresa.
I will have that for you by tomorrow.
Excellent, thank you. Much appreciated.
Excellent, thank you all. Thank you so much. Be safe, be happy. Happy New Year.
You too.
And to you.
All right. So we are on to item number 7, which is open the warrant for the May 2nd, 2022 town meeting and possible votes.
May 2nd will be here before we know it.
Amen.
With 62 inches of snow the day before. No, I'm just kidding.
I'll make a motion that we open the warrant for May 2, 2022.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Seeing as none.
Fitzpatrick, aye.
Bone and I.
Morris, aye.
Cortez, aye.
Davis, aye.
All right, we're on to approving.
Not for nothing, you're having a special town meeting and the annual town meeting on the 2nd. So by that vote, was it your intention to open both warrants?
Well, I agree with you, except our agenda only included the...
Special.
No, it doesn't say either.
It was generic
So-
enough. Look at you, you clever thing.
Generic town meeting.
So I'll amend
Nothing
my...
generic about our town.
Well, we voted that, let's do a special. I'll make a motion that we also open a warrant for the special town meeting of May 2nd, 2022 as well.
I will specially second that.
It's been specially made and specially seconded. Can I have a special roll call vote?
Any further discussion?
None.
Okay. Fitzpatrick, aye.
Bone and I.
Morris, aye.
Cortez, aye.
Davis, aye.
Anything else? No?
Did you hear me?
Yep, we heard you now. Okay, approved minutes and possible votes?
The executive from 118 is not in here yet.
Okay. I would make a motion that we approve the minutes for both Tuesday, January 4th and Tuesday, January 18th.
You're doing a dually, huh?
I am.
I will second. Yeah, I'll second.
Okay, the motion's been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Seeing as none, can I have a roll call vote?
Fitzpatrick, aye.
Will you?
Bone and aye.
All right, Bone and I.
Morris, aye.
Cortez abstain, I was not at either meeting.
Al?
Davis, aye.
I
Excellent.
thought you were confused, I'm sorry.
No,
He needed a little foot play, that's all.
Just nudge him, just a little bump. Your report, Mr. Administrator.
that is a hill I'm gonna die on, though.
Don't worry, I got your back.
Now take this off, so don't think I enunciate very well as it is. cloth doesn't help. This evening, we passed out instructions for department heads to begin participating in the capital budgeting process. Per the usual, a summary of the project, what its critical service delivery it is meant to address, cost, and especially outside proof of analysis and quotation of pricing, so that we have good, solid analysis and we're not guessing at things. All of those request forms will be gathered and then reviewed by the Capital Committee. Every year, I think it's a good idea for the Capital Committee to review its scoring process and its application process and vote on it so that we are all operating on the same page, comfortable. We'll welcome a member of the Finance Committee this year. I think Dick Vandenberg has been.
Yes.
It's going to cross over and do both Finance Committee and Capital, which is a good nexus, and it's good for the town to have people with insight on both committees. We do anticipate having a capital budget this year that is more or less in keeping with what we've been able to do for the last 2 or 3 years, somewhere between $750,000 and $1.25 million as a budget. We'll refine that further when we get out of the winter. Just reminding everyone, the second part of my report, item number 2, we have now spent about $197,000 out of the snow and ice account. I believe we approved $215 or $216 at town meeting, so we have about $20,000 left, which is not much. This last storm was it's a big storm, right? But it was a $71,000 storm. Give people a sense of what things cost. And salt is expensive this year, very expensive. So we will probably come up with a number and ask early on for Finance Committee and Select Board approval of deficit spending in snow and ice, just so that we can secure the resources necessary should we get any more bad weather. It's only February 1st. We get a lot of big storms in February. That's typical for New England. But the chairman already said it. I'd like to say it as their appointed supervisor day to day, that this highway crew really does amazing work. They are a small group of people that work for the town full-time, and they worked very long hours. I've driven around about a third of the town since the snowstorm, and can't help but say that it's very impressive that we're down to pavement. Neighboring communities, not necessarily so. We get really no complaints in our office, ever. We do have the unusual, well, it's not unusual, but inconvenient fact that we're probably going to get a pretty substantial warm-up and rainstorm this week. So if you have a storm drain in front of your house and you have 5 minutes to kick some snow aside from the drain, because if we get 2 inches of rain and 45 degrees over the course of 36 hours, there'll be a lot of water everywhere. We need to drain it off. The budget process was what I'll be working on next in terms of our internal capacity. We're trying to use all of the paperless SharePoint approach to this, so Finance Committee will have access through a town email address to a website, their own, in our workspace. Their SharePoint will be the budget, fiscal 23 budget. And pieces of the budget spreadsheet will be farmed out to the directors. They will populate it with their numbers, and those numbers will carry over into a master spreadsheet without any further interaction from a human, because it'll be coded to do that, and we'll have a requested budget that way. Still trying to sort out how all this works, because I think in the past, most of the focus of the town was trying to stretch scarce resources, right? That was, the budget effort was, how can we get what we need out of limited revenues? The revenue picture having improved somewhat, now the question is, well, who has the power to initiate the budget? How does it go through the process? There's more to talk about. I'm still very much of the view that the select board, as the chief policymaking board of the town, establishes the parameters of the town administrator's activity in drawing up a budget with the department heads. By that, I mean you establish the revenue target, the revenue number that you believe, and you tell us, to populate a balanced budget that meets the policy objectives, and if you want to specify them in bullet points, you can. Meet these targets with the funding that you've been given, and then we go through the process of trying to make those numbers work. The statute authorizing the town administrator position says that it is the town administrator who presents a budget to the select board and to the finance committee. It is the finance committee that presents a budget to town meeting. That is the workflow. So you set the policy, moving numbers here, there, and everywhere, and actually putting the article into the town meeting warrant is the finance committee's responsibility. So we're going to try to do all of this electronically without producing, reams and reams of paper and endless meetings and having people marching in front of various committees 2 or 3 different times. So we'll experiment with it. It won't be perfect. We'll have a conversation when it's all over on what we can do to make it better. But I think this will be extremely transparent because we'll have a requested budget from the department heads. We may have to pare it down. We may be able to increase it. It all depends on where they all come out. The preliminary cherry sheet is out. Now, I don't know how much it's worth in terms of, is it worth the ink on the paper or not? It's the governor's suggested budget. I've noticed over the past several years that some numbers never move, and then when the legislature can move some pieces, they do. This year, the governor's preliminary budget, and therefore the preliminary cherry sheet, shows us with a couple of interesting trends. One is school choice in is slightly down, but school choice out is considerably down. So we did not improve on the revenue side much. The school committee will have roughly the same amount they had last year, but on the assessment side that comes out of our overall revenue, it's down. So it's good news.
That's great.
It is. And we have some preliminary indication, very preliminary, that our census is down slightly at BVT. That, depending on how it shakes out and all the rest of the budget considerations of that institution, I would rather be starting there than having the superintendent say, hey, guys, just let you know that you got, 15 more students this year over last year, and that there's the cost of that. That's not what we're being told. We're being told it's down slightly. That's good news, too. On the bad news front, we have property and casualty premiums. A quick update on our health insurance purchasing group. I think I've told you I'm chairman now of the group. We have voted to accept as a full member the town of Oxford. So both their active employees and their retirees have joined our purchase group. So that means we now represent 4 towns and retirees, 4 entities with retirees. So Douglas, Webster, Dudley Charlton Schools, Oxford, Stoughton, and Fall River, for a total of 3,800 retirees covered. If we get to 5,000, we can win another year of rate cap from the carrier, when rate caps are precious. It is absolutely unheard of in the industry to experience 3 years of rate cap, which is what we've already gotten. Fall River joining got us another year. So if we get 1,200 more lives on the retiree side, we have a good chance at another rate cap. In terms of the actives, we will have a renewal like we always do. Usually by March, we'll have a sense of what the cost will be.
Really, that will be.
Couple of things that we're going to add to the town's health insurance offering to employees. One is an application referred to as Blue Book, Health Blue Book. It is a massive artificial intelligence driven algorithm, number crunching, crazy thing that is widely adopted by many health plans across the United States that assesses both the quality of outcomes and the cost of care. It often comes as a shock to people that the exact same procedure, colonoscopy is a common preventive procedure, can vary by as much as 340% in terms of cost, depending the context where you have the test done. That's a big deal. You need to know that in order to push members to better quality outcomes and good pricing. Obviously, as the beneficiary, you're looking for the highest quality outcome. What everyone is learning in the industry is that branding is so powerful. You think, I'm going to go to such and such a hospital because that's a great hospital. And this was shown in great length. There's 2 hospitals in Atlanta with the same name. They're associated with Emory University. Everybody says, that's the place. You got to go there for all the whole range of care. The data tends to show otherwise. So using a Massachusetts hospital as an example, Blue Book demonstrated to us convincingly from the data that they gathered that while that particular hospital has a great reputation amongst all folks, it's great for wounds to your extremities and significant surgeries of legs and knees and ankles, but they can't do a cardiac stent to save their lives. They have a really tough time pulling off the procedure. They don't have the right physicians practicing in the right environment at this great hospital with a great reputation. That's what we need to educate people on, is you don't need to travel all the way to Boston. You might get a better stent if you went to the cath lab in Worcester, and we can show you that it's better. It's actually going to cost you a lot less money because you're not paying the overhead for the big fancy name hospital in Boston. It'll all be on beneficiaries' phone through an app. The choice is theirs, right? The choice is completely theirs. Nothing's changing their choice. It's just more information is coming to them. What we will do is we will offer people an incentive if they go to a high-quality outcome physician or service and they get it at a better price. Some of the savings will be passed on to them directly to get a check. I got scoped for $500 instead of $1,000. You might get a check for $100 or more for following good practices, because it's saving the trust fund a lot of money. The second thing we're looking to add to our employees' health insurance is a really significant practice group. So it'll come in as a specialty group that's called Bright Line, and it is completely focused on pediatric mental health. Pediatric mental health is exploding. The COVID pandemic, all the isolation, pulling apart school groups and social groups really has put a lot of stress on kids. And there's a whole continuum of care that a well-thought-out practice group, starting with education, going to coaching, and then only from lots of interaction with your coach do you get referred to therapy. It's an entire continuum of care. So our beneficiaries will still pay the specialty physician price, but they're getting not just a doctor that they want to see, they're getting a whole suite of services. So we're excited about it. The group is continuing to do what it was set out to do, which was control costs for taxpayers, be a better deal for employees. So we're very proud of it. I think it's doing extremely well. In terms of the rest of the process, it's procurement time, so we'll be posting a lot of procurements over the next week for various projects, loose ends tying up. We'll also be getting competitive proposals back on the electrical work at the fire station, and we'll be opening the second round of bids for pipes and valves and other things associated with the economic development project. We're keenly aware of the fact that we want to have a higher profile about what's going on with economic development, where the project's going to be, what it's going to mean for people. And what we're trying to do is pull together some messaging that can be posted on the town's website and distributed as broadly as possible to local media, local Facebook pages, however we get the word out. What it looks like now is that this will be a year where Gilboa Street, really from the North Street Bridge across 146 Lackey Dam. At any given time, some portion of the road will be opened up, and one lane will be closed as pipe is installed, first for water, and then later sewer. The sewer project is a short run. It's going really from that pump station, you know, that little thing that's halfway sideways over by the dam, that's going to be replaced, and then the force main extended out across 146. Water is going to be more extensive because it's going to, there's a run of 12-inch pipe that's fine, and it's right in front of the mill building, but from North Street Bridge up to the edge of the mill building's parking lot is the wrong size pipe, and then the pipe ends at the Shell station, needs to be extended to the project on the other side of 146. So that's what we'll be doing. We'll be closing the road one lane at a time, directing traffic around. We're exploring, along with the police department, how we're going to do that, details versus portable traffic lights. It may be very hard to fill these details, so we don't want work to be slowed down or stopped. The building needs to be ready for occupancy, the one on Lackey Dam Road, by November, so they say. So it's February, so that should give you a sense of how fast this is going to go once it gets started. And once it gets started, it has to start right away in order to finish on time. So that's in a nutshell is what we're talking about. When we get to the second piece of that, second piece, construction-wise, it's the second piece. It's contract number 3, if you want to call it that, which is the extension of the sewer. There's another piece of that, which is the upgrade of the water main on Northeast Main from the junction with Davis Street all the way to the Uxbridge town line. That's the line that's going to help the other warehouse that's entirely within Douglas create a loop. They, at their own expense, will connect Northeast Main to Gilboa and form a loop there. There'll be a lot more flow and better pressure for everybody involved. That will be later on, probably in the fall. I wouldn't even be surprised if that slipped a little bit, but for now, let's just say it'll be in the late summer, fall. Did I do it right? Okay. I could go on and on. I think everybody understands it's budget season, we're busy. We're parsing out all the things we talked about doing, personnel, compensation plan, reform, trying to tease out some numbers there, and administering these grants as best we can. I guess the last thing I'll say is the Omicron variant surge seems to be slowing down. I think most people perceive that, and that is true. Rapid testing became sort of a great solution for folks. A little bit faster, maybe not as accurate as PCR, but certainly fast, a lot more convenient, a little bit easier test to administer. The federal government gives you 4 for free. If you're an educator or an employee of a school department, you're getting 4 a month for free. Insurance entities, including the town of Douglas as a self-insured entity, we're on the hook for 8. And if we don't get safe harbor, we have to pay our beneficiaries for those 8 tests, no matter what they pay. It's not capped. So we have Express Scripts has come in and said, we will get the safe harbor for you, which they did. So we are on the hook for 8 tests up to $12 each. Again, in an effort to save money, we went out to the market and we purchased about 1,500 tests for enrolled employees. Employees who were enrolled in our health insurance will get 4 free tests that the trust fund only paid $5 for. So some people are paying $50 for over-the-counter tests. Our beneficiaries will get 2 kits, 4 free tests, $5 each. So that'll kind of close the gap. So you get your free 4 from the federal government and your 4 from your insurer, you should be covered. Those are your 8. We also bought some on behalf of the town using ARPA funds, which is what you authorized at your last meeting. Because the procurement went well, we had thought we would get 1,000 tests for $15 each, and we were hoping that procurement would work out. We ended up getting a lot more because we buy them for $5 each. So we'll be using those to screen anybody who wants to use the Adult Social Center and hopefully reopen our Adult Social Center much quicker than we had anticipated, because now we can provide people with screening tests. Are there any questions about anything else? I want to stop there. I think that's...
But the ARPA, what do we have? $1.5 million sitting in the bank right now?
I think it's 1.35, right? We got our first half of our installment. So when it's all said and done, we'll get 2.7. But it's coming like every 6 months, and we're 12 months into it.
And where do those, I know we've expended some of those monies, where do they fit into the typical budget processes, whether it be this board or the finance committee, or looking at them and making certain that
The select board spends federal grant money without further appropriation. So you do not need to go to town meeting. You can have, so we haven't spent anything without your authorization. So we spent about $56,000 on engineering with Stantec and about $15,000 on COVID tests for citizens.
Okay.
The rest hasn't. I think you made a commitment to use ARPA funds as a match in one of the grant processes, but if we're working on the structure with our ARPA consultant, who's actually really digging in on the ARPA eligibility of all of the various project components, to make sure we assign the proper source of funding to each activity in the overall $8.5 million project. So Bob's been working hard on that, but now Tom Zadelis has it and is working from his perspective as an experienced municipal finance person and federal grant coordinating person to make sure we do what we need to do to document the steps that are taken so that the single audit will be easy. So when you spend a certain amount of federal money every year, you have to undergo a single audit. It's a very high threshold of integrity. It's actually a good thing. We're in a very good position. Gene always does a wonderful job with the audit, but it's an added level of scrutiny when federal dollars are involved. Does that answer the question? So
yeah, no, it does.
it's about 71,000 out of 2.7 million.
Right, just, I mean, this board's great, right? With this 1.3 million that we're charged with spending, it's a little outside my comfort zone without bringing additional people in to at least understand and kind of passively or proactively approve what we're doing with it.
Yeah. Well, that's the weird thing, right? Because normally when you get federal grant money, there's this document you have to stick to it, and you have a consultant that helps. Usually your planner, your regional planning agency usually does this for you. But now the U.S. Treasury said, here's your money, and here's, by the way, we'll come up with eligibility regulations after we give you the money. So they just came out last week with a 300-page final rule. Did you sit through the...
400 pages.
It's 400. Did you sit through the training today?
Yes.
Did you get anything out of it, Lisa?
Headache?
Yeah, the last 20 pages of the 400-page book is really where it boils down to the meat of the requirements and stuff like that. So I still want to take a look at that.
A lot of reporting, so that's what Tom is going to do for us. So your reporting piece of this is covered. You have hired a consultant who will be paid out of your ARPA funds to document to the federal government's satisfaction how you went about spending the funds.
No, I get that. I probably have my idea as to where that money probably would go, read economic development or what have you. I just hesitant to just take that power and run with it personally.
You just refreshed my memory. I just don't remember. What grant did we say they were going to use that match with? Or
MassWorks.
talking about?
MassWorks.
MassWorks. For which particular project?
Water and sewer.
So
Water and sewer, but there's a lot of streets. So I'm just curious as to if there was a particular street.
So the MassWorks grant is the more general grant.
Sure, he's not a lawyer. He's just talking in circles.
The MassWorks grant is leverage against the entire shebang.
Okay.
So no matter how many pieces we break it into in order to get other things in the door, MassWorks is over the top of all of it. It's $3 million that can be spent against the $8.5 million project. So ARPA was a match to that initial commitment. Because the federal government is very, very specific about what their funds can be used for and under what conditions, we had to sequester part of the project into a discrete, freestanding, self-contained project. And that's the sewer extension and the water on Northeast Maine. That is a discrete contract. So if we get the EDA grant, it releases those funds that we've already committed to that contract to be used for the other parts of the project. EDA grant would be a significant thing because it's an 80-20 match, not a 50-50. So there's still some moving parts here, but we're getting down to brass tacks. There are timing considerations that are just as important as allocation decisions. So what Tom is working on is, as the money comes in from the United States Treasury, we can't spend it until we have it. So you've got to stage your bidding and your construction and everything else accordingly and capture that time element so that you basically have a project cash flow statement. And that cash flow obviously has to always be in the positive before we can let out contracts.
So that, again, that's for the water extension on Northeast Maine and the sewer extension?
That's EDA. MassWorks is over the top of everything. Everything we're doing is eligible for MassWorks spending and ARPA, to be honest. But EDA is very narrow, and you cannot use federal funds to match federal funds. So whatever, if we get the EDA grant, that match has to be made up out of MassWorks or out of private donations from the partners that we have building. Can't use ARPA funds for that.
Okay.
If we don't get the EDA grant, we have to recalculate the funding formula for it and the sources and how it's going to be done.
Thank you.
I think now I'm done my report.
Thank you.
Executive session will be brief. I know you might need to go, so.
Yeah, if you got to bounce, Kevin.
I do. I just wanted to close out the regular meeting, and I was going to turn executive session over to the vice chair.
That's good.
Yes, Bob?
Can I just address Mr. Fitzpatrick's
Not right now, Bob.
No,
Yeah, not the time.
on the EDA?
not right now, please.
Not right now.
Okay.
There's a reason why.
All right, is there any open session topics not reasonably anticipated 48 hours in advance of this meeting?
No, but Mr. Chairman, I would make a motion that we move into executive session for the purposes of A, collective bargaining, B, interest in real property, C, investigation, and D, litigation, and to leave executive session for the purpose of adjournment.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Can I have a roll call vote, please?
Fitzpatrick, aye.
Vote aye.
Morris, aye.
Cortez, aye.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Yep.